Any other questions that anybody wants to raise, Priyaranjan or Naina or Shiva or Abhinav or Mohan? Any other questions that you want to raise right now?
Yeah, I have one question here. So, how do we describe to the interviewer if he comes and asks, have you set any goal or objective for next down the line 5 years? Or what is that you wanted to achieve? So, how do we exactly describe that?
Right. I think it is a little bit in line with the question that we just recently discussed in terms of strengths, right? So we were discussing about having a roadmap in terms of what is it that you're aiming for, what is it that you want to kind of do in the next 1 year or 2 years or 3 years time. So I think your answer should be in line with that. You should have identified an area, right, that you would want to work on or improve on, and it could be in terms of the current role that you're performing, and probably you want to get to the next level, or it could be in terms of some learning in a new subject or in a new area. Uh, I'm just throwing it off, like for example, artificial intelligence or analytics or some kind of tool, let's say Tableau. So let's say functionally you've been great, but you do not have a lot of knowledge on DevOps tools, or you don't have a lot of technical knowledge in terms of AWS, or you do not know how does the cloud computing work, for example, right? So that's an area that you've been wanting to grow in, though you've been a project manager for the last 5 years or so, and you've managed multiple projects in terms of people, in terms of stakeholders and objectives. However, there is a possibility that you've not really worked on AWS, and maybe you feel that that's one growing area, right? And you would want to kind of gain more knowledge on that in that particular area. So that could be one of the areas that you can highlight. Um, where do I want to see myself in the next 1 year or 2 years? I think career growth for me, is not about growing within 1 year or 2 years. I think career growth is something where I say that I need to have significantly learned and achieved something for me to say that I've grown. I could have probably grown in salary. I could have grown in a grade, right? From a particular grade to a second grade or a second to a third grade. But in terms of real growth, right, I think it takes on an average around 3 to 5 years of doing a particular role substantially, convincingly for me to grow to the next level. So I think I have a lot to explore in my current role at this point of time. I need to add a few more skills like cloud computing, artificial intelligence, um, right? So those are things that I want to add initially before I can probably think about a growth. Yeah, so that's the way I would put it across.
Yeah.
Okay, fabulous. Okay, any other questions?
Yes, I have another question. I mean, have you ever faced a conflict with your manager, and how have you handled it?
Okay, anybody wants to start? Anybody wants to take that question up? Okay. So, have you ever faced any conflict with your manager? I think I have not one, but I have faced conflicts with my manager multiple times. That would be a typical answer, right? We all have conflicts with each other. We all have our own points of opinion, points of view, not only with managers, with team members, managers, and peers, peer group. We definitely have some kind of conflict, right? So that's pretty common. But I think I can probably quote a couple of instances, right, in terms of work prioritization where I faced that situation. Um, I've been given a task, which is my regular task, right, which I'm supposed to handle, and something suddenly comes up, and my manager wants that, right, and I try to satisfy that, and then I miss out on my current work priorities, and I'm probably being asked questions on the same, right, while I probably was given this work by my manager. That could be one reason, or the other reasons could be in terms of alignment. Most of the cases that I have seen in my career of preparing people for interviews is the alignment which is probably not fitting, right? So your perspective about doing work vis-a-vis your manager, what does he or she want, right? Unfortunately or fortunately, many of the managers are not the best leaders, right? And we need to give them, right? We need to understand the fact that most of our managers, not most, but at least many of our managers may not be the best leaders, right? So they want work to be done in their way. They don't want to, ask you your opinion in terms of how is it that you think the work should be done, right? They want the work to be done in their own way. But when you're working with people, one of the most important things is to, keep people satisfied, right? People around you, as far as possible, not to probably get into a conflict, but to probably work your way through. So you have to figure out exactly what your manager wants. Whenever you get into a conflict, one of the best things that to do is to get into a discussion, right? To have a one-on-one, to have a discussion, understand exactly what his or her perspective is, what are the misunderstandings, and try to see if you can probably get some clarity around it, right? In terms of what exactly is the conflict, and figure out how you can solve that, right? At the end of the day. So, without giving any example, I would that would be my approach. But if I have to take any specific example, I would say that hey, work priority is the biggest challenge, right? In terms of what my manager wants and vis-a-vis what I'm doing. So if I feel that my manager wants something, I will definitely try to tell him that hey, I definitely feel that whatever the work that you're giving me is extremely important and crucial. But I have these many tasks in my kitty at this point of time. Based on your experience, if you don't mind, can you help me in terms of understanding how I can prioritize all of this so that I can get this work done? I think that will be a positive way of expressing yourself and to resolve that conflict so that you don't, he or she does not feel you're rejecting their idea, right? So yeah, I think that is how I would approach it. If anybody wants to add something, so Priyaranjan, can you please keep yourself on mute when I'm speaking, if you don't mind? Thank you. Yeah, if anybody else wants to add a point or two, please feel free to do so.
Sriram, on the theme of conflict management, generally what I have witnessed the question is, okay, just a second, there's some notification from Zoom. So the question that I faced is during my early stage of my career, I used to give project managers interview, right? And the question was, say, suppose you're managing a project and it's normally a cross-functional team. So what if there is any conflict which arises with the team members who are senior than you? So it might so happen that you are managing a team, and either from an age perspective or even from a grade perspective, some people have a dotted line reporting to you and you have an onus to deliver that project end to end. And due to these scenarios, there may be conflicts with the day to day things. There may be conflict with regards to the solutions that maybe we are presenting to the client. So how do you resolve that situation? So normally my answer to that question would be, I try to follow an objective approach wherein I tend to have a discussion with the person with whom the conflict is. I present my approach on deriving to that particular option. What is the thought process behind it? What are the criteria that I have considered? I try to listen to him or her with regards to the same approach or criteria, and then ultimately we have to think for the greater good, which is the project in this case. So whosoever option is better, after evaluating the criteria, we have to kind of take that forward to the client. So my approach to conflict resolution in this case, I would say, would be jotting down all the criteria which both the parties have gone through to arrive to that particular decision.
Great, fabulous. Yes, that's true. That's more of collaboration and trying to probably bring in all the parties and valuing the points of opinion of each party, and then getting to the best of them or best one of them.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yes. Anybody else? Any other points? Anything else? Okay. In relation to what Abhinav just said, right? I think that's another question. Let's say some people have asked me that I'm working as a Scrum Master, and there is a resource manager who probably starts controlling the team and starts taking the stand-up meetings, is getting involved in the stand-up meetings. So how should I handle as a scrum master, or how should I probably conduct myself? So I mean, obviously a stand-up meeting is something for the team and not somebody to probably lead that stand-up meeting for the team, right? So my answer to that person who asked me this question was, I would probably take up the resource management manager for a one-on-one, and I would not probably interrupt, right, when he or she is doing that. Probably have a one-on-one with the resource manager and understand his or her perspective. Sometimes it could be because of ego. Sometimes it could be because, I want to be the boss, right? Kind of an attitude. Whatever the case may be, while we understand exactly what it may be, but we would want to have a one-on-one with that person, understand exactly what is the kind of discussion that he or she wants to get involved in with the team, and and then probably set up an offline meeting post the stand up, right, with the resource manager for the team. Probably you can have a meet after, right, post the stand up meeting of that 15 minutes time, which is a discipline meeting every day. You can probably set up a meet after to probably discuss certain points. So in a way, you're probably trying to satisfy the ego of the other person, as far as that person has certain discussion points. If the person does not come back to you with any discussion points at all, then you can't just satisfy the person's ego, right? You can only try to understand, okay, if you have a few points that you want to discuss with the team, please let me know, so that I want to set up a meeting for you, so that I want to give more time to you, right? So you obviously have to be positive in the way you're probably putting it across, but at the same time understand as to what is the reason he or she would want to probably have a meeting with the team. And in case even after that your attempt, the person is not able to understand, that is when you'll have to probably get into a reasoning, saying that, hey, a scrum or an agile, for example, is about giving empowerment to people, and giving them and respecting the individual's perspective, and let them come up with a solution. And that is one of the reasons why I myself do, restrict myself from giving any opinion to people, right, unless and until they are seeking for it or they need my help, right? So I would try to make that person understand. And of course, if even that does not work, we have many other levels of escalations and stuff like that, which we obviously would not want to get into, ideally. But we have no other choice, but we will. But yeah, I think these are some of the ways you can probably. What I've also observed is that when you become a new leader or a new manager, right, you have a point of conflict as well. That how can I let this person, come into my meeting? So I start arguing with that person, or I start backbiting, or start talking to other peers, saying that, hey, this guy basically starts coming to my meeting and he's spoiling my meeting, right? So rather than cribbing, rather than crying over it, I think the best thing is to go and speak to that particular resource manager and be positive in your approach and try to give space to that person, right? Because at the end of the day, we need to satisfy everybody's and our own egos as well, right? Yeah, so I think, Abhinav, that's a very good question. Any other points? If anybody else wants to add, please feel free to do so. Okay.
Only one point, Sriram, like while answering these questions, right, in an actual interview scenario, I'd again urge people to quote references or examples, and do not talk theory about it. Say, generally a person should do this or do that. They should, their wording of this answer should be that I faced this scenario when I was interacting with so and so, not naming the person, but with so and so person, and I handled it that way, I did it that way, or I followed this approach. So it should be more on those lines, not talking. So if we choose our words carefully, it really leaves an impression that yes, we are talking from our own personal experience.
I think that's very important. Yeah, that just shows.
Yeah, I agree.
Right.
I agree with
I
Abhinav.
agree too.
In fact, one of the interviews did tell me, uh, don't use the word we. I'm not asking what your company did. Tell me what you did. So from then onwards, I started using the word letter I.
Right. I think, yeah, that's critical and important. shows a lot of confidence, for the other person to understand that yes, you really have experience, right?
Correct. I was telling from a project team point of view, saying, "Hey, we did that, we did this. I said, I'm not asking what your company did or your team did. I'm asking what you did.
You specifically
It's
did.
very important. Yeah, specifically. So I mean, in fact, he said that I'm taking your interview, not your team's interview, or your company's interview.
True. True. Yes, Shiva, you wanted to say something?
That's a yeah, that's a very basic questions which has become these days. But we really need to choose the wordings. What Abhinav was telling. I go with these words.
Fabulous. But anybody else have any questions for today?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
Um, Straight away, on the face, they'll ask which other companies have you given interviews, and seriously, they'll come near the camera and ask which other companies have you given interviews. So what should I answer?
So I think while I'll let others also answer, if somebody asks me that question, if I'm a candidate, thankfully I'm not. But if I am, I would say that there are a few companies that I have given an interview with, but for the privacy reasons, I would want to keep them to myself. I will surely let you know once our interview goes through. During our feedback session, I will definitely let you know. But at this point of time, I would want to keep it to myself. I hope you respect that. I'm sorry about it. So this is the way I would probably approach it. Yeah. Abhinav, if you have any best practices or anybody else, Naina or Shiva, Priyaranjan, please feel free to add.
Yeah, so see, from my perspective, Sriram, it's more about the negotiation approach that you want to have as part of that particular interview. Because see, every interview at the end of the day, it's nothing but a negotiation exercise. So during my interview, if someone asks me that question, I say that yeah, there are a couple of opportunities which I'm pursuing, but nothing has been materialized yet, so I cannot commit anything. But if I do genuinely have something with me, then I would wait for this ongoing interview process to approach its end, and then when my discussion with HR gets initiated, right, then I would bring in all those discussions and caveats, say that I have an offer at hand from XYZ company. They are currently offering me that much, and that too, I would first let the current company present their offer to me. Because if I say, for an example, if I have an offer from XYZ company for 10 lakh, and if I tell them upfront, I lose some bargaining power or negotiation power. Because what if the current company is about to offer me 12 lakhs, and I have already told them that I have another offer of 10. So they will give me 11, and they would say that the candidate will be happy. So it all boils down to the how much negotiation power you would want to give. And as a best practice, I would say I would again then suggest candidates to hold on to their
Is my voice
okay.
on now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, Sriram. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Abhinav, yes, please continue. I think you were talking about the negotiation power that you keep with you. Wait until
Yes.
the end. Yeah.
Yes, Sriram. So just to finish my thought, so I mentioned that it all depends on the bargaining power that you want to have with the current company. So I would want to reveal all my cards to the postpone it to the HR round, and I would first want to hear the offer which the current company wants to give it to me, and then I may probably say that yeah, this is another offer that I have, and they're offering me XYZ. Can you kind of consider that as well while you're evaluating my offer? So that is when I would actually want to reveal if there are some ongoing opportunities that I have.
Fabulous. I think yes. And see again, it all depends on your position. If you're in an advantageous position, you would definitely want to reveal, say that hey, I already have a couple of offers from a couple of organizations. But yes, your organization and the kind of opportunity that you are providing is something that I'm looking forward to, and that is one of the reasons why I'm holding on to the offers that I already have. And I probably would want to see if this probably comes through with your organization. I would definitely be delighted to probably take up this offer. So it again depends on the situation that you're in, right, or the point of negotiation that you're in, based on which you would want to pitch, But if you do not have an offer as of yet, you can just say that, as Abhinav just mentioned, right? You can use that to your advantage, probably towards the end, not at this point of time. And you can just say that, hey, there are some ongoing interviews. I would want to talk about them once they mature, but not at this point of time. And yeah, so maybe during the HR round, I would definitely want to reveal and make sure I take a decision. Probably just take one more question for today, um, and then we will try to wrap it up. Yes. Any more questions? Any other interesting questions?
Yes, Sriram. So, in one of the interviews during the HR round, the HR asked me if I was married. When I said yes, the next question was, "Are you planning to extend your family?" So I was like really, annoyed because it's an extremely personal question, and I was not able to evade the answer. So I said no, and then the HR kind of, she gave a very weird expression, and then she moved on to the next question. So how do we, answer such extremely personal questions, Sriram?
I think it's a very typical Indian question.
Yes.
What has happened is there are two things, two sides of the coin, right? So one is that a lot of while we probably are talking about women empowerment and diversity and stuff like that, a lot of organization wants to hire women employees because they are extremely efficient and essential in the organization. But as a woman, you obviously go through your own life cycle, right? So hence, people are concerned that will there be a break, right? So generally, people who are married or about to get married, there is a probability that you may move cities. And traditionally, what has also happened is that the woman generally, I mean, I'm not trying to generalize this. I would say traditionally moves, to a city where the man lives, right? If husband is basically probably getting transferred to another city, probably the lady also tries to get a job in that city and moves. But of course, these days the trend is changing. The opposite is also happening, right? In a lot of cases. So which is a different case, but still our mindset is traditional, right? So we have that thought in our mind that the decision making as far as the woman is concerned is not always going to be individualistic. The family may also influence the decisions, right? So hence, will I make a mistake by hiring this person or not? So that is one of the reasons why they're asking you this question. It is my take. I mean, I may be wrong in what I'm saying. It is my take that you have no other choice but to instill confidence in the other person because he or she is trusting you and giving you the job and wants an assurance that, hey, I'm taking the right decision by giving you this job or awarding you this job. I know it is a derogatory question. It is extremely personal, but you have two choices. Either you can, simply say that I'm sorry, but I think it's too personal and I would not be comfortable answering. If you really feel that it's personal, and I feel that I'm extremely sincere and I do not think I need to probably justify myself by giving this answer, that could be a very smart answer. Or if you feel that you desperately need that job, you have no other choice but to probably give an explanation and probably say that, hey, no, I think I'm settled for life. I've done what I wanted to. I do not have any obstacles, on my way forward. And I feel that I have all the liberty, freedom to do the job the way I want. And I do not have any kind of restrictions in terms of movements. I'm open to traveling. I have my family or I have people to take care of my son or daughter. And I don't see this as an impediment in my life going forward. So these are two ways of answering them, Naina. Again, it depends on your individuality, your situation, and your personality, which will determine as to which one would you want to go for.
Thank you, Sriram.
You're welcome. Okay, so what we'll do is I think that's a good initial discussion. We will keep our session to this much for today, and we will have more of these series of discussions every week, probably, right? And we'll come back with more innovative questions that we are asked during interviews. We will get into specific topics. And as we keep moving forward, we'll also probably do some case studies. Okay, we'll take an example of case studies. I have a lot of case studies with me. I do not want to showcase any name of any organization. I will remove all of that. I'll change the data points and I will probably showcase some case studies as well. Maybe not immediately, but after a few weeks, we will start doing case studies also, so that it will be a lot of learning for people. Yeah, so we'll keep coming back with more and more information, more discussions, more insightful thoughts, more case studies, which I think will be helpful for a lot of people who are looking forward to prepare for interviews. I thank you all for joining today and spending your valuable time. Yeah, thank you so much, all of you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sriram.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
everyone.
Sriram.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks a
you.
lot.
Thanks